Oh, there it goes. Come live. It's live on my screen.
Welcome.
Fine.
The trouble is, at the beginning of the thing, and I'm going, hello, welcome, and then there's no one watching it.
Yeah. But also, it's going to be, no one's going to understand the agony that we've just been through.
Okay.
Like, we're there going...
It's my fault.
They won't care anyway. No. But they never care. Right.
I can't see. It usually
Besides,
appears...
Anyway, apparently, nothing I say is of any consequence to anyone, and that certain person wishes that they'd never seen, envies people who've never seen my videos. So...
There we go. Yeah, we're live. If you check on your channel, you'll see the stream.
I can see them piling in.
I can't see the screen. Where is it?
Go onto Sam's channel. Go onto SRS.
Oh yeah, live now. Yeah.
Yes. At last.
I'll have to mute it now.
Oh, cool.
There we go.
Cool. There we go then.
We have to just apologise to everyone as we're still getting set up at the moment. We've only been live together for like 5 minutes, so
we need to let people. We need to let people pile in for a bit anyway, don't we? Before we go mental. Not that we're going to go mental, but we might do in a bit, but not for a while.
The interesting thing, you're going to put me to shame now with your extra 1,000 subscribers. You're going to get far better numbers than I am.
Well, maybe. I know, but you don't know because we all bring something to the table. Neil's the one who's got all of the people. So,
I don't know about that.
Well, there's more than us two. So anyway, though, I think most of I think at least 10% of my subscribers all hate watch me anyway. So it's not really. They'll just pipe in to say "fuck you," "I hate your hat," and shit like that. So there we go.
Do you know what? I was going to wear a hat. I was going to wear a hat, and I thought, oh no, I won't bother. So,
well, yeah, but your hair's beautifully manicured, Neil. My hair is. I've been in a pigeon hide all day, and I look like crap. So.
And I'm losing mine, so I'd rather hide it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. There you go.
I don't know.
So 61 viewers now. 59.
Oh, the board already.
Yeah, bloody hell. And then you have to excuse my chain smoking on camera.
Hey, you're at home. Anything goes when you're at home.
Yeah, exactly. Anything goes. And don't say that, mate. That could go horribly wrong. Okay. I did post it on my Facebook group.
Yeah, I did a bit of a splurge.
Yeah,
Facebook.
I must admit, I really wasn't as prepared for this as I was meant to be.
Yeah, we noticed.
Yeah.
That's what I love is people always message me and go, oh, everything's so like, you do things really professionally in your reviews, and I'm like, do I? Like, it's almost like shit. The guy wants it back this weekend, like, chuck everything on the table and speak. And it's always, these live streams. People think that we're sat there for hours putting up lighting and all that. We don't. We're just, there 5 minutes to go trying to connect to each other.
Well, yeah, exactly. I just haven't stopped all bloody day. I just sat down really. So I didn't even know what I was doing until half an hour ago.
Yeah, I'm actually sat here in my boxer shorts. Not that you want to know that. Joking, I'm joking.
The weatherman. Oh no, like a newsreader. None of them wear trousers, Because.
But now we might get a few more viewers with that.
Yeah, we should have advertised. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe that's the future. We can't do things about guns anymore, so yeah, just get a cocktail.
Cool. So we've got a reasonable amount of people watching. Hi everyone.
Yeah. Hello. At least if I can see the chat things, they should be able to like type up, shouldn't they? Isn't that if you look on?
Oh, here we go. I've already seen one name mentioned in the comments.
Oh yeah.
Go on and kick it off then.
Okay, yeah, I remember this.
Let's get him out the way. It's 5 minutes of glory and then done.
You love talking about dear Mike. You love it. He's your #1 person.
Yeah.
Wait, aren't you the only one of us that isn't banned from his Facebook page?
Yeah, I'm quite civilized, I think.
Yeah. Unlike us thugs, you know.
I think
Yeah,
I'd just
go
go full gangster and ask see if we can staple him to a target board or something.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm sure many people are going to be aware who we're talking about. That's obviously Mike Yardley, but obviously don't want to give him any more attention than he's already got. And I know obviously that's a bit contradictory coming from myself because, you know, I love to post the odd post about him on the channel. But I think what's more important is, you know, Sam, Neil and I were talking earlier about what we had to talk about tonight. And, you know, Sam, you were saying about the future of shooting and the future of the sport and, you know, getting new people in. And I think that stems off Mike Yardley very, very nicely. I think that's why I, you know, despite the temptation to just leave him alone and have his hissy fits on his own, I can't, you know, I have that need in me to go, no, actually, you're wrong. Because, you know, when it's the sport at stake, when it's getting new people into the sports at stake, which practical shooting is doing a massive job in, then it's sort of too serious to just let it go. And I have got a lot of people come to me and say, look, just ignore him. You know, you'll get, you know, like Neil's saying, you're giving him too much attention. And we are, but what's more dangerous? Giving somebody like, you know, having a go at someone like that publicly and them maybe getting a bit of attention out of it on to the various news broadcasts that he does. And, you know, the journalists, you know, BBC and the like, class him as speaking for our sport. So what's more dangerous there, you know?
Well, it's funny because I meant to do a video on this. I started writing a script. I do that now. And, you know, I was saying that everyone keeps banging on about unity. I mean, I know Farms UK talk about unity, and we all talk about unity. Unity is great, don't get me wrong. We need to be united. And Mike Yardley isn't being united. He's not standing up for all shooting disciplines, etc. But ironically, there is one thing that he is doing, and it's what I was coming on to when I was saying that unity isn't enough. And it is the fact that he's branching out and talking about other things. He's putting himself out there to other topics and other issues and other activities. And it's making people who aren't actually interested in shooting look at him and connect with him for an unrelated reason, but then also think, oh, yeah, he likes shooting. It's not my cup of tea. You know, it's all right. It's acceptable. It's normal. See what I mean? Like humanizing us, because otherwise we are in danger of being in a huge echo chamber. So it's ironic, really, because you know, he goes on to radio shows and stuff and talks about terrorism or talks about political things or, you know, whatever. And that should in some ways be good, because if he's a face to the public and the public are like, oh, I really like Mike Yardley, I mean, I don't know why, but they might, you know, and then they think, oh, you know, he's really into shooting. Oh, you know, like I said, it's not my cup of tea, but I connect with this man, I like this man, so I'm now going to be pro shooting. And it's a way that we need to try and, to a certain extent, try and go. I mean, as we know, YouTube's obviously censoring us like hell now with shooting anyway. So it's a good way to try and spread the net, as it were, a little bit, you know. But then he comes out, of course, and then demonises half of shooting. So,
I mean that's it. It's there are areas of practical shooting. You know, I do a lot of it, and I hang around with a lot of practical shooters, go to a lot of matches. And yes, there are a very small group of practical shooters that do take it too far, and they are, you know, it's never possible to be too tactical. You can never be too tactical, but they take it too far, and they have equipment on them that they're not going to use. I've seen people walk around the range with a holstered BB gun, and you're doing a live fire practical shooting match, and you're a bit like that is taking it too far. So I get, strangely, and don't, you know, don't hold me to it, but I do get where Mike Yardley's coming from, and that's why I use the hunting analogy. Is that some images of hunting isn't necessarily good for the image of shooting without an explanation. And yeah, the people that take it too far during practical shooting, and don't get me wrong, I'm sure there's a very small minority that would love to be in the SAS, would love to be out in the army doing it for real. But that's a very small minority. You can't categorize a whole group of people because of a small minority. And using cars, very closely linked all the time with shooting. I drive a Civic Type R. It's seen as a chav car. It's got a big wing on the back. It's got all these, and people normally see those and they think, right, you're some chav that goes tearing around at 80 mile an hour around council estates. But actually, the outright majority of the people that I meet up with and I go to meet, they're very, they're enthusiasts of the car, and they want to meet up. They meet up, they talk, they're sensible about it. And yes, you get a few knobheads that do donuts and burnout, but again, it's a very small minority. And it's a case of Mike seeing that minority. He's seeing the extreme side of that sport, and then he's blanketing everybody. There's people that go down to those ranges and they shoot in wood stocks because that's their gallery gun. Mike doesn't have a problem with that, but as soon as it's an AR-15 platform, he throws a hissy fit, and it's sort of like, okay, look, I get it. And there's been echoes of this with Bisley and not wearing camo. They tried to put a ban on wearing camo because, unfortunately, a few people were going there, and short of a morale patch, they looked like they were in the bloody army.
Yeah.
When actually the majority of people wear camo because it's cheap, it's warm, it's long-lasting, and it's comfortable. But again, what Bisley and the NRA were doing was focusing on the image that a very small minority was generating, and not a good image, and they were just tarring anybody that was wearing camo. And I think that's what Mike Yardley is doing for practical shooting. And I know when you really drill him down into it, he actually is talking mainly about airsofters and paintball enthusiasts. Well, they are still shooters, but it is a combat sport. That's what it's all about. So, that's not live firing guns. Nobody here is trying to give the impression that you want to run around and shoot people with live firing guns. Paintball and airsoft is different in that manner. And Mike seems to just blur the lines with everything and categorizes people as all the same, which is why I get, as a practical shooter, I get so infuriated.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Mike's just a prat.
Yeah, well, yes. He's just being, quite bigoted, basically. It's a funny one. I mean, you get this more with the BB guys. I've got a couple of friends I went to school with, and I knew, growing up, who were now massive airsoft people, and they'll have a big Bowie knife they've just bought to have on their hip while they're running around and playing, doing what they're doing, and it's just sort of part of the image. And they'll have photos of themselves dressed up there like they're in, whatever, like they've just come out of the SAS in Afghanistan or whatever, posing for the camera, trying to look cool. And it always makes me chuckle because they're always pointing their muzzles at each other and all that sort of thing. But whatever, they're just sort of having a laugh. You're always going to get that. And it is, your analogy with the Honda Civic is similar, because you are going to get boy races and stuff driving around in those sorts of cars, especially when you're a young man. And Callum, you are a young man, and I was the same. I had a Mark II Golf GTI when I was in my early 20s, and that was the car. And I went to Bug Jam and all these VW drag racing places, and it's the same sort of thing that you're sort of into. And I was a bit of a cock, and maybe can crop out a little bit, but that's fine. It's fine. You're just a youngster having a laugh. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, what is the intention? But as a sport, when you're talking about practical shooting, he is showing his ignorance, because if you watch all of these channels on YouTube, in particular somebody like James Yeager, James Yeager laughs at people who do practical shooting, because practical shooting is a specific sport. None of those firearms that are designed for practical shooting are really of any use at all if you wanted to be some sort of soldier or whatever. Having a 1911 with a flared bottom to it and all these cutouts and stuff where dirt can get in there, and you've got a stupidly sensitive trigger and it's really highly strung. That's like having, I don't know, a souped-up, full-on rally car designed for the track and then trying to use it every day to go to work. It's going to break down. It's not going to work. So he doesn't train people to do that, and he laughs at people like that who come to his classes and think they know what they're doing. If you did what most of you, the time you spend doing practical disciplines, in real life, in a sort of combat situation, you'd get shot. You know, you don't like
exactly.
You know,
exactly.
He trains people to actually fight, and that's what he can't. You know, that's what his shtick is. And yeah, in this country, that would be very, very socially unacceptable. But obviously, it's a different context in America and whatever. But the point is that, you know, you're prancing around in like an English shooting lycra top and a funny hat, and you've got all these, you know, and you're doing all this stuff. You know, really, it's not really even tactical. It's actually, it's sporting. It's very, very sporting. And we don't, you know, we don't have anything that's truly tactical. That's this sort of like the image that he's got in his mind. We don't do that because we, you know, if you did behave like that, if you were going to classes and banging on about how you were learning to shoot people, then, you know, I dare say you get a visit from your FEO.
Yep.
So yeah,
I think that's where airsoft comes into play. So
yes,
because I was into airsoft in a big way before I got my FAC. I think during myself getting my FAC, and I tell you what, I had some real good fun doing it as well. You know, I weren't necessarily all sort of tactical. I'd just wear some old sort of DPM camo. You know, yeah, I'd have loads of different guns, but you would have people there that would sort of go a bit, you know, they want the latest sort of MOD kit that they could get their hands on. Do you know what I mean? And it was a bit, you know, whereas I'd just, you know, throw on a few bits, you know, so I was camouflaged.
Well, you're LARPing, aren't you? You're live action role playing. It's basically what you do.
I tell you what though, it is a real good adrenaline sport. I mean, although I don't play it now, I've got nothing against it. It gets the kids off Call of Duty, gets them outside. Ultimate exercise, ultimate sort of adrenaline rush. You know,
it's the analogy, isn't it? It's basically like playing Call of Duty.
Yeah, and it's
all the guys you see that I'm sure Mike Yardley would approve of, like you know, the reenactors who get old deactivated Lee Enfields and they dress up like a World War I officer and they run about and fire blanks at each other. I'm sure he wouldn't have a problem with that.
Well, airsofters do that as well.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm sure they do.
They'll have like World War II weekenders or what.
Yeah. So I don't know, but I think as I said, it's ironic because, as I said before, in the sense that he's branching out and he's spreading his net a little bit further, and he's talking about topics and using his fame to use his influence to talk about other things other than shooting.
Yeah.
To an audience that then realizes he's shooting, you know, he's a shooter. That's very good for the sport. And it's just
I suppose.
But it's just such a pity that there's two real problems, really, the big problems, is that he's sort of doing the right thing there. But then he basically screws over the community that he would otherwise be representing very well, potentially, because he's just, he's having these quite bigoted views about people that he just do a sport that he doesn't like. But the second really big one, his opinions are fucked. Honestly, he's so poorly read about everything. And he reminds me of this grumpy, drunken old grandfather you have at Christmas who's ranting away thinking he knows everything about everything, and he's just talking out of his arse. This is the guy who thinks if I criticize him on YouTube, he can call his lawyers and have I mean,
well, we're all going to get a suit now anyway.
Yeah, probably. I'll use his face in the thumbnail, so yeah, that's probably going to get me some.
I have as well, and I sort of photoshopped it as a clown.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
well, I was looking, you were saying about you know, how he's you know, he doesn't read up on anything. You know, he just blurts out what comes to his head. You know, I was watching the video that I did 2 years ago, exactly the same situation, and one of the pieces that he tried to bring out was this association between violence in real life and violence in video games.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, please show me your evidence. Please show me the data or the statistics that prove this association. And he wouldn't, and he would, you know, go back and forth. And then finally he sent me a link. Now I went onto Google and I typed in, you know, the link between violence and video games. The first link was the link he sent me. And it was a sample size of like 50 people or 100 people in one college or university in America. And that's what he does. He just he comes up with these ideas and these opinions, and he doesn't fact check. He just, this is right. You know, I think this, therefore it is right. And that's why he's so dangerous, because he forms an opinion about anything, in this case specifically shooting and practical shooting. He's formed this opinion. Well, that's right. So if he talks to any journalist, his opinion, that's what he's going to present as fact. And then they've got the quote.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And the link between video games and violence is one that he was particularly talking about, and he apparently wrote a paper about it. Which again, if he didn't have such fucking stupid opinions and was wrong about everything, it'd be great for shooting, because people might read that and go, "Oh, that was a really intelligent piece written by Mike Yardley. I'm really impressed with him. Oh, he likes to shoot shotguns and stuff. Oh, I never, you know, I thought those just weirdos did that, but I really connect with this man, and therefore I'm now okay about it." That would have been great, but his opinions, it's just like, yeah, it's confirmation bias. He's just thinking, right, I think this, right, I'm now going to go onto Google and see if I can find information that backs it up. And then, of course, you can't find any. And the thing with violence in video games is that we have demonstrably, as a species, in the last 50 years, become substantially less violent. Yet we've had the advent of video games since, like, what, the 1980s. So simultaneously, we've been playing video games, we've become less violent. Now, I'm not one to say that that was the reason, but you certainly can say that they haven't made us more violent, have they? You know, the reason probably, to be honest, is things like we have less lead in the water supply, and that is known to make people violent. And also, which is probably to do with the contraceptive pill, because women, obviously, you know, and we drink recycled water, and our testosterone levels are dropping. Our testosterone levels now are much lower as men, much lower than they were when we were young. And that's why both of you, because, well, more Neil really, because he's like me, he's becoming an old man. As we get older, that is something you need to check up.
Yes.
No, it is. It genuinely is, mate. Because otherwise, you can get to about 60 or 70, and you can end up like a sort of fucking little old woman. You don't want that. That is part of the reason why we're becoming less violent, because we have less testosterone. So I'm digressing a little bit here, but that would be looking at something skeptically. It's like, okay, well, I'm kind of like open-minded. Okay, I can see that this is happening. What's the explanation? But he's not. He's just like, well, fuck video games and fuck people that play video games. Right, I'm going to go and find a reason to say fuck video games. And then, yeah, then he finds some piece written by a moron who's taking, you know, whatever. And then, yeah, and then he spreads it around like it's fact, which then does a disservice, because then people who aren't shooters look at him and think, oh, yeah, this bloke's a cock. Oh, he shoots as well. I don't like people who shoot. So, yeah, I'll now have my...
Thing is, with this bloke, though, if I was thinking about getting into shooting and I stumbled across this, what's his name? Got his name. I just keep erasing it out of my head.
Okay.
It just, I don't know, it turned me off.
Yeah.
Completely turned me off. And I think that way, in that sense, he does nothing for this sport. I'm sorry, but he just doesn't. He doesn't encourage new people to, you know, to come and start the sport. Do you know what I mean?
Well, it's more stereotype, isn't it?
You know, we're sort of youngish lads. Well, apart from me, apparently I'm old. But do you know what I mean? The stuff I think, the stuff we do on YouTube, and obviously other YouTubers that do the same sort of stuff. You know, people watch it and think, "Oh yeah, I fancy having a go at that." You know, but I don't know, Yardley. I don't know.
Well, he does appeal. He appeals to a certain group of people. It may not be.
Yeah, upper class that drive Mercedes.
Yeah, privileged people.
Yeah,
Perpetuating stereotype.
You know, everybody has a representation.
Privileged.
Yeah.
You can remember, right? And in terms of shooting, as it goes, even though you know, your type of shooting, Callum, is probably representing a good 50% now, possibly even more, of the people who are into shooting. The reality is most people don't even know that. Most people are shocked that you could even do that sort of stuff. Most people associate it with the sort of stuff I do, but not even what I actually do, but as in hunting. And then they think that is, and I'm using the American term for hunting because it's, you know, you know what I'm saying. But that their opinion is that it's for toffs. And so there's a big anti-shooting thing with people, because not because they really care about shooting, but because they are, you know, they're being classist basically. They kind of don't like toffs, as it were, and it's something toffs do that is not accessible to them as far as they can see, so therefore they don't like it. And Mike Yardley is perpetuating that stereotype, because it's not true. It's not true even if you like the sort of shooting that Mike Yardley does. If you like winged shooting, you like pigeon. I've been pigeon shooting today. It didn't cost me anything. In fact, like I said, I managed to get shotgun cartridges for £2 a box. It didn't cost me anything, really. But to the average layperson, they think, oh, you've got to pay £1,000 a day or whatever, and you drink champagne at lunchtime, and you have Rachel Carey swanning with her entourage, and and all this crap. And it's where it's not really like that. It doesn't have to be like that. It's like that.
And that's what Yardley is unwilling to look into or represent. I have always said I will cover all shooting on my channel. It doesn't matter if I'm interested in it or not. I will try and cover it. Yes, I cover more sections than others, but what Mike Yardley does is, this is my sport, this is who I am, and this is what everybody else should be. And he's blindsided by looking either side and saying, well, actually, who else is doing this sport? And, people like yourself, Sam, that go out and shoot pigeons, he probably, he's as much against the image of you going out in a field and doing that as he is practical shooting.
Especially
because
he thinks shotgun.
Proper and high end. It's somebody that thinks that a mid-range shotgun is £3,000 to £6,000. That's the world he lives in, which is great. There are people that we want to get into this sport from, that are like that. The sport has a variety of people in it, which is great. That's why I like it. You can go and shoot next to a doctor and a lorry driver. You can go and shoot next to somebody that's a builder, or someone that works in the city in finance. It's a selection, and what Mike Yardley wants to ignore is that there is a selection of people. There's a selection of disciplines. Everybody has the same right to be doing the sport, and all disciplines have the same right to be acknowledged and supported, which makes him dangerous. And you said earlier, I think that's a very, very good point. How you said that he went and found an idiot online to back up his statement about video games. That's exactly what some other idiot will do to back up their argument against practical shooting. They will go online, they will find someone like Mike Yardley, who's a respected figure in shooting, and they will quote him. And then they will use his information in their article. And people won't go and delve into the facts. They will just see what the journalist has presented, which I think is wholly damaging. But I don't know,
I think we should move on.
Yeah, well, that was...
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. That's probably enough of him.
But the next item to be looking at is that some of you may have seen the screenshot I posted on my Facebook group recently regarding the restricted or no adverts on videos. Now, for me, it's now about 80-odd% of all my videos I've ever done are now running limited or no adverts. And I thought, oh, this is going to be some kind of mistake, because I've read their guidelines about what's acceptable, and the only reference I can possibly think of that those would be included under would be possibly under violence, if you've got a stretched view of what violence is and you include killing animals as violence. But even then, it's it has to be without context. So if you strung together a montage of horrible accidents or something, or you just posted a video of some footage of some horrible terrorist attack and no other context, then it's not allowed. But if there is context, then it is, like a news article. Now, obviously, what I do is I'm carrying out pest control, I'm obtaining ethical needs, that sort of thing. And I talk about this a lot, and usually, pretty much always, in fact, when I've done some shooting, I will explain what I've done and what I'm doing and so on and so forth. So I thought, okay, yeah, this must be a mistake. It's just a YouTube algorithms catching me out. So I asked for manual review. So a physical person has watched these videos that I've asked for manual review, and they're just like, no, we confirm that this isn't acceptable. And you can't reply. If you reply, it just says this emailer doesn't exist. I've emailed my partner at YouTube, sorry, my account manager, my partner account manager, and they just said, well, we're not allowed to comment on that, basically. Yeah. So, yeah, that's that, really. I mean, basically, I've got all the footage together to put together another pigeon shooting video, a couple, actually. and I'm probably going to tag them as something like, you know, cuddling wood pigeons over barley stubble and giving them lots of kisses, something like that, and then tag it as a makeup tutorial or fluffy kittens having a laugh. And I would hope that it gets through the net at that point, because I don't believe their algorithms at the moment can actually read thumbnails, so I can still have pigeon shooting in the thumbnail. And although it will mean that I can't organically grow my audience, I can rely on my existing audience, and I'll still get paid. Which is, you know, I know, you know, you guys have sort of said about the whole paid thing before, and for me, I will always carry on making videos. But if I want to make this shit professional and feel, you know, like I'm trying to build something and I have to move things forward, and when I'm compelled to bring out a video and compelled to do something, then that's a very important aspect. I mean, I was actually getting a revenue stream that was becoming an important part of my income about Christmas time, and now it's just like non-existent. And when it is non-existent, I'm going to be left thinking, well, I'll just make videos when I feel like it. I'm not really going to be bothered if I upset anyone. In some ways, you know, it's liberating. In some ways, I feel that, like, you know, it's like when I talk about politics and stuff, I'm just like, oh, I don't care. You know, I'll make stuff that makes me happy, I guess. But you know, it's a real worry, and it goes way beyond shooting as well. I mean, as I said, I do make political videos, and they've all been censored, all of them that were right-leaning. Just a video where I'm just dissecting Donald Trump winning the election, not saying anything particularly controversial, really, just saying what I think happened, why I think he won, and that I was happy he won. That is apparently not suitable for advertising. But you can bet your ass, if I'd done a video saying how much of an arsehole he was and it was going to be the end of the world and how terrible Donald Trump was, I bet you I would have got paid then, you know? And then when we look at the sacking recently, I don't know if you saw this, of a Google employee who wrote a memo that went around Google, and the context is, you won't hear this in the regular media, but the context is that he'd gone to a diversity seminar at Google, and they talk about inclusion and having women in the workforce and LGBTQ, XY, whatever it is, people, and all the rest of it. And they wanted people to give feedback. And that was his feedback, where he said, look, Google are only interested in diversity in terms of how people look, who people sleep with, what race they are, but they don't believe in any kind of diversity of thought. And if you are a conservative, if you don't have this leftist mentality, then you're ostracized. And I don't know about you guys, but I think true diversity is in the way people think. How people look and who they choose to sleep with is none of my fucking business. I couldn't give a shit. What I'm interested in is people with different values and life experiences who've got different things to bring to the table. And it appears Google aren't so interested in that. And it's a worry, because it's a monopoly. It's a full monopoly now. Nobody's got the sort of money to take this shit on. The free market isn't going to fix this, not unless Apple or Microsoft get involved. And YouTube currently makes $9 billion a year, and it costs $9 billion a year. They don't make a penny. So who's going to take that on? There's no natural, but there's no natural competitor who's going to come in and sweep up and think, oh, I'm going to have free speech and everyone's going to come to me. That ain't going to happen. No one can afford to do it. The amount of data.
YouTube, I think. I read that today. The second most popular website in the world.
Yeah. In fact, when I was doing my training with Google, you have hangouts at their London offices, and they teach you how to use analytics and all of this. And apparently, the biggest search engine in the world is obviously Google. And the second biggest search engine in the world is YouTube. And YouTube only searches YouTube. That's how big YouTube is. So in order to have all these servers all over the world with high-definition video streaming 15 hours of video every second, the costs are astronomical. And it was profitable, not hugely, but it was. But now, since that they've kind of bent to this leftist like authoritarianism, where they want to police everything everybody says, they've started having to employ real people to start looking at this shit. And now it's a loss leader, and that's why they're panicking, because advertisers are threatening to pull their content, and they're thinking, shit, you know, we're going to go from breaking even to making a huge loss. But what they should really be doing is standing by their creators, because if they do that, then the advertisers will come back. The advertisers have got nowhere else to go. They have to use YouTube. If they don't use YouTube, where are they going to go? You know.
I mean, rewinding a bit back to right and left wing views. I think overall, it's fairly easy to say that I lean on the right side of the scale, but I hold very fundamental left-wing views.
Yeah.
And I find it funny, saying about making it about who people sleep with, their race. I've never put a label on anybody, and yet it's sort of my duty to keep up with all the labels that are there. And I, I've got gay friends, and I end up messaging them all the time. I'm like, I've just heard this term. What exactly does it mean? Because I don't want to offend anybody. If somebody identifies themselves as something, I want to be able to identify themselves as that and understand what they are identifying themselves as. But I sort of think, well, aren't you then pigeonholing yourself? People like to say in terms of male and female, I'm a person. Well, why don't we just all keep talking to ourselves as people? You're a person. You're not this. You're not that. I'm not straight. I'm not heterosexual. I'm a person. And as you say, why the fuck does it matter who I go and sleep with? And whatever. It doesn't. I'm a person just as anybody else who isn't heterosexual or is heterosexual. It doesn't matter. And I found certainly on Facebook, and obviously within guns and voicing opinions on guns, you get shouted down just for having a right-leaning view. And it doesn't matter how right. I'm definitely not with the groups of people that were out marching in Jacksonville. That is completely in the other side of the bloody room compared to where I am on the right-wing side. But you say to somebody you're right-wing, and the majority of people go, "Oh, so you're a Nazi then?" And well, no, just as if you're right, you're left-wing, I don't think you're Starling. It's you just seem to get villainized just because you say I would say I would categorize myself as right-wing. And what happens every single time on Facebook, on my private Facebook, when there's elections, when there US elections, UK elections, Brexit, if you dare voice a right-winged opinion, you get shouted down because you're not in the majority of people that are on Reddit and Facebook and YouTube and stuff like that. And what's happening is people aren't even now, they're not even looking at what you're saying. They're not even giving it a second thought. It's like, that's right wing. You like guns. You're wrong because you're right wing. And, that's what the Nazis did. And you're just like, whoa. But there's no, it seems on the other side, on the left side, that there's absolutely no differentiating factor between slightly left and extreme left. It's not villainized in the same way.
Well, the truth is, the left have become extremely authoritarian. All these labels and people taking offence, using the wrong labels, etc., is part of that. All this Black Lives Matter and feminism. Feminism's literally is cancer. I mean, it's destroying Western civilization. It's a terrible thing, but it's the norm now. And I would describe that as extreme authoritarianism. It's far, far left, right? So people who were left-wing, who used to be considered to be left-wing, have now become conservatives. It's not right-wing, it's being a conservative. And because conservatives have become the new liberals, and if you're a liberal, you're just a classical liberal, should I say. You're an individualist, you believe in the individual. So you might look at a group of people and think, yeah, that group of people tend to be doing this, and we've got to look at that. But if you meet any individual from that group, you treat them as you find them. You're like, yeah, you're an individual. So you meet someone who's gay or whatever, you just treat them as you find them. And if that person's a decent person and you don't use the right label that they particularly want, I mean, they're not going to fucking care. Yeah, they're just such fucking snowflakes. Who cares? At the end of the day, you don't get to decide how people identify you. You can identify yourself however you like. Other people will identify you how they find you. So, for instance, if you're a man and you dress up as a woman and you obviously look like a fat, balding man who's just put a dress on, people are going to look at you and think, yeah, you're a fat, balding man in the dress on. But if you've got really convincing tranny, you look like Blair White or somebody like that, and you actually look, to be honest, like a hot girl, people are going to think you're a girl. You don't get a choice in that. This is the hard reality that we live in. You know, this is the real world. And this is what's happening.
If you've just tuned in, I have no idea what they're talking about either.
I will go off on a tangent. But we are experiencing a problem. We are with and this is relating to what Google is perpetuating.
Well, I've just had my I've changing the subject slightly. Well, not really with YouTube. I've just had my wrist slapped by YouTube with a copyright strike on my account.
Oh, okay.
Because I've done a video where it was at IWA, the unveiling of the Ticker T3 tactical, the new rifle. Done a press release. It was just press only, IWA in Germany. Filmed it all, and there was they had a big screen up with some footage of this rifle being shot. So I sort of, when he says, right, now look at the screen, blah, 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 so I'd sort of pan the camera around and video the actual screen. Anyway, it's been up for, well, since February, which is when the IWA was. Anyway, all of a sudden, about a week or two ago, gets a notification on my YouTube account saying this video has been taken down. Got an email as well. So I was like, hey, what's this all about? So I went onto my YouTube account and it had locked me out. I had to attend copyright school first.
Really?
Yeah, before I could access my account. So I had to watch this 10-minute cartoon all about copyright, answer some questions, and then that was it. Anyway, cut a long story short, what it was, because it was a new rifle, and there was, I did take a few photographs, but they weren't very good, and sort of, you know, grabbing stills out of video again weren't very good. I've done a quick Google search and found this nice, pretty picture of one. Thought that'll do for a thumbnail.
Okay.
So I got it, put my logo on it, and that was that. Apparently, a Finnish company called, well, I won't name them. They apparently had commented, but I didn't see it. It must have gone into spam or something, saying it's not polite to steal our picture as a thumbnail. So anyway, I seen who took it down, and I seen it was this other YouTuber. So I had a look on their YouTube account and noticed there was a video with the Ticker T3 and this footage of them shooting steel gongs. I was like, I wonder if it's because I filmed their footage that was on the big screen. Do you know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah.
So anyway, I emailed them, and then they explained to me it was their picture that I nicked, basically.
Oh. Yeah, but that should under American law come under fair use, especially if you've got your logo on top of it because you're commenting on it.
Well,
it's a bit broad for me to say that because you are just stealing their logo.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't. I nicked it basically, just a photograph. So, well, anyway, I did smooth it out with them, and you know, it turns out I'm going to meet them at the IWA anyway next year. So
oh, okay.
I've offered to buy them a beer.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, it is a grey area. I've, you know, I mean, you might have seen a lot of videos that I do where I'm using other people's footage, and I'll have a disclaimer at the beginning about the, you know, it's like the Copyright Act of 1973 or whatever it is, and fair use. But that is meant for commentary. You're gratuitously using it for branding, and I don't know. It's a bit difficult because I guess if you'd use some of the images on screen, like you were saying, that was their video.
That's it.
That would be under fair use.
Yeah. You are branding the video with their picture.
Yeah.
So what they could say is people will click on your video because of their picture. Whereas if you include the picture in the video, then the whole basis of that video isn't around that picture.
Yeah.
You can say that people are clicking on that and coming to my channel because they're coming to my video and not your picture. So like I do get it. But on the same note, it is crazy. And again, similar to Facebook, after going through the various reports of somebody's post recently and having my own posts reported on Facebook, and I've been through it on YouTube as well, what happens is it's guilty until proved innocent. If somebody makes a claim, you're down. Like that, as you said, the video gets taken down. It doesn't matter if they're wrong or right. The video gets taken down, and if you do, so there was one a few years ago that I was talking about 3D printing, and I used somebody had 3D printed like a Ruger mag or something for a Ruger 1022, and I used like 5 seconds of their video. I even like linked them in the Reddit post that I posted about 3D printing and said, you know, look, thanks to this person for their footage. I even included a link in my description. It was completely under fair usage, but they reported it. It was my, you know, normal Sunday video. So people were expecting the video came up, and then it just got taken down out of thin air. Now I counterclaimed and said, look, this is fair usage. I'm talking about 3D printing. I'm not talking about his 3D print in specific. And I used a 5-second clip of a 2-minute video to include in an educational and commentary video. Now, it takes up to 30 days to have that video cleared. So what that meant, it was actually easier for me to go into YouTube, edit out that section of video and remove it completely, and then get the video back up. And the guy agreed if I removed it that he would release the video effectively. 20 days later, I get an email from YouTube going, we reviewed the case, we found it in your favor, the clip was fair use. Well, that's fuck all use 20 days after the video.
Well, it just ruins you. I mean, if your audience is like looking at the first 24 hours or 48 hours of posting, then it's pointless at that point. But that was right of them to do so, because you've got to be using, I think, less than 80% of their original footage, and yeah, the fair use commentary, etc. But the things with YouTube is, and you know, part of the reason that happens is that YouTube won't directly get involved in copyright disputes, you know, at least initially, because if they did, then they could get sued. So they just try and stay the fuck away from it. And what normally happens is that they make a claim against you, and then it says, do you want to make a counterclaim? And then you say, yes, this is, you know, fair use for you. And then the person who made the complaint has got 30 days to decide whether your refusal, your dislike of their complaint is valid or not. So it's like, what the fuck? I mean, the person who makes the complaint gets to judge if your appeal against the complaint is valid. And they then got 30 days. And if after 30 days they don't say anything, then you're okay. But why wouldn't they say something? They wouldn't have made the complaint otherwise unless they wanted you to take it down.
The way that the email from YouTube was worded to me was that YouTube had reviewed it. Like, they had looked at it and felt that the footage was under fair usage.
Yeah.
And it was a ruling against this other person. The person, although the person released the video anyway because I removed that clip, I could have put that clip back in. I could have re-uploaded the video with that clip in, because I've got an email somewhere of YouTube saying it's okay. This guy can't, you know, we've removed the strike. And that's the other thing. You've got 3 strikes on YouTube. And if you get 3 people that suddenly take a disliking to you and individually report you, it could potentially take your channel down. And then it's up to you to then, go through the 20-30 day period to try and battle it. And it doesn't matter if they're right or wrong. You've been down for 20 days.
Yeah, I mean, it's a problem. It really is. As I said, YouTube are quite strict with stuff like that, with copyright. I mean, you kind of don't really have a say. That said, from bigger YouTubers that I've come across who encounter this constantly, because you know they flag up more. I mean, you know, it's all very well with Neil with that thumbnail, but in a lot of ways, if those guys weren't into shooting, they probably would have never known, you know, because it's not a big enough channel. But when you're a really big channel, obviously they get on it straight away. But apparently what usually happens is that you get, like I said, they make the complaint, you make the counterclaim and say, fuck you. They then have got 30 days to decide whether that's fair or not, which is obviously retarded because they're bound to say no. And then you can complain again against it. But at that point, that's when you risk getting a strike. But at that point, you can potentially go to court.
Yeah,
and if
that's
you threaten
what
them, yeah, but if you threaten them with legal action, they then have to give you the contact details directly of the person who's made the complaint, and you have to speak to them directly. When you say to them, "Fuck you, let's go to court," 99.9999999% of the time they'll go, "Okay, yeah, okay, you can use it." They will, because they know it's not their worth. It's not worth their time. That company, when that writes that photograph, how much money is that photograph generating for them?
Oh yeah.
Well, how much? Nothing. How much money are they risking losing by taking you to court?
Yeah.
So they won't. They won't. And then if they're representing a corporation, especially, then as a cost-benefit analysis, anybody who isn't emotionally involved, who didn't take that photo, is going to be like, no, we're not going to risk that for your stupid photo. Fuck it.
Yeah. Well, I say I got an instant. It was an instant takedown notice and an instant strike.
Well, that's quite harsh. That's not normally what happens.
But it says, providing I attend copyright school, which I did, and it said the strike will be taken off in 3 months. November it'll be taken off. But I don't know whether it'll be taken off sooner, because I have obviously contacted him, smoothed them out, explained it, blah blah blah. We're like best buddies, me and this other YouTube channel, and they said they're going to retract it. So, but I've not had a look to see whether the videos pop back up or what, or have I got to re-upload it? I can't be asked to re-upload it. It was February, it'd be a press release. It would just be out of date now.
It's too late. People have already, their interest has been piqued and just gone. That moment's gone. It's like. Yeah.
I'll wait until I've got one actual rifle to sort of test and review, and then I'll make my own photograph.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's lesson learned. So
hopefully, Neil, you'll get an opportunity to get the new Tika Tactical out.
Yeah.
I've
got one available, so I'll get one.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. So. Because obviously, as you know, I'm a massive Tika fanboy now. I love Tika. I love my Tika. And so, that looks really badass.
I say I've got one available as and when, but I've just my workload at the minute is just I've got that much stuff on the go at the minute. So, but hey, I'll just show you actually. Don't worry, Callum, I'm not going to show you a cheapo Mossberg or anything.
Yeah, okay, that's cool.
I've got this on the go at the minute. Quite interesting. It's a 357 air rifle.
Yeah, 9mm.
130 foot-pounder.
Nice.
It is. Oh my god! I took it out last night. It's called that. It's a HM1000 made by Rapid Air Weapons in America. Oh Jesus! It is a serious bit of kit.
I've got this on. I've got this on loan at the moment. It's my sub 12 foot-pound granddad's BSA 22 Mercury. So,
do you know what, Callum?
We all know which is better here.
Mate, do you know what? That, and when I watched your video the other day, I was like, oh my God, that was my very first rifle.
Yeah?
BSA Mercury was my very first air rifle, my very first gun.
That's what I said in the video. That's how so many people start with air guns. That's how I started with that exact rifle, that air rifle. And obviously you just said you started it. They're ace. That,
They're ace. I mean, I can't wait to get my boy sort of into, I mean, he's 4 at the minute, so he's a little bit young. But no, this thing.
I was looking under my bed because I do actually have my first air rifle somewhere in this room. And that was a BSA Air Sporter. But unfortunately, covered with rust and it's completely screwed. It needs a lot of work, like a prohibitively expensive amount of work to bring it back to normal.
What you do is contact a gunsmith. I mean, there was one, what's his name? John, is it like John Bowick or Bowlett or something like that? And he does all the blueprinting for the BSA R10s, and he's like a well-respected BSA, air gun person. Yeah. And he, get in contact with him and do a series of videos of restoring it.
Maybe. I don't know. It's honestly, Cam, it'll be a fucking big job.
Yeah.
Well, because it is. My dad left it in the shed for several years. Yeah, that's what my dad's like. He just thought, I'll just leave it in the shed. And it's in a hell of a state, to be honest. I did get a number of his gunsmiths down south look at it. I just never got around to it because, like I said, it was going to be hundreds of pounds, like more than buying a new one. But it would be nice because, like you say, it was my, I cut my teeth on that air rifle from the age of about 6.
Yeah.
Shooting tin cans in the back garden, and having shooting competitions on holiday in Scotland and stuff like that. Yeah. So it would be nice. It would be nice.
But that's it. You've got the opportunity. Obviously, we all know the perks that can come with having a recognised YouTube channel, where lots of people, they do want to give you stuff because they know it's going to be seen by people. You can find a local dealer or a local gunsmith and say, like, look, yeah, it's prohibitive for me. I can't justify spending this much, but actually it would be lovely to get it up and running in return for using your services. I'll put links in my video, because I'm sure loads of people would love to see that, the restoration of a rusted out air gun, because I'm sure there's a lot of people that have a few rusted out air guns in their sheds.
Yeah, you're probably right. I know you're very good at pimping yourself out, Callum.
Yeah,
better at that. Yeah, to be honest.
I can't help it. I mean, I was recently sent these, the mag loads.
Yeah.
And the person that makes these, Konstantin, he contacted me and said, would you like me to send you a few bits, just to, no obligation, just send you a few bits, try them out, let me know what you think. I'm like, yes, I'll review anything shooting related, because at the end of the day, when I first started the channel, I was buying all my stuff and I was going out and trying to justify to buy something because I knew I could get it on the channel to show people, especially if I thought it was a cool product. So, when someone says, do you want me to give you this to buy? Yes, I'm still a person. I like nice shiny things coming through the mail and arriving and opening them up, And
so it's content as well, isn't it? Content is the biggest problem with a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And yeah, I admit I'm pretty lucky anyway, because I started out with I've got to give them a mention, Livens Gunshot. They same sort of thing. I put a link in in the videos to that product or whatever. I started off with air rifles and stuff, but then through writing for the magazine, I managed to get my RFD, which just totally blew the doors open then. So I'm pretty lucky. I mean, this 357 rifle, it's not one of theirs. It's a friend who's lent me that. He has said that he will kill me if I put a scratch on it, though, so.
Oh, I bet he did. I mean, yeah, being an RFD is a massive issue, massively beneficial thing. And I don't know, a lot of our subscribers don't know this, because obviously, especially if they don't have Section 1 licensing, because even if you've got somebody who's got a Section 1 license, same as you, even if they've got the same gun the same slot for the same gun as you've got, they can't borrow it. And it's such a pain in the ass. It's so stupid. I mean, it really is stupid. But you can't. But the minute you're an RFD, you can just...
World's your oyster. It seriously is your oyster. I mean, I had to go through the normal rigmarole the other week of the renewing my shotgun license. I had to sort of wait a few weeks. It's a few weeks up here, so it's not too bad.
Right, don't rub it in.
But I say the firearms officer, female firearms officer that come out, she's absolutely brilliant, And I just happened to mention about my RFD, and there's just a few things, because it's a little bit vague on my RFD as far as testing stuff is concerned. And I just wanted to double check, because it's weird, because I've got an open ticket FAC for 2.2 rimfire, so I can hunt with 2.2 rimfire, which I had before I joined any club, But obviously for testing, I can test at all the clubs, like Catton Park, Swaddling Coat, all those. When I applied for my RFD, I had to contact them, and they were all cool with it, that I could take test guns there to use. They were perfectly fine with it. But I just wanted to make sure, am I all right using any other caliber sort of out in the field? Obviously just target shooting, Anyway, she was like, well, get me your RFD license. I'll give her it. And it's literally a sentence, and she says, yeah, you're fine. And I was like, what do you mean I'm fine? I'm fine for what? She says, you can shoot any caliber on any ground you deem fit. as long as you've got permission. I was like, that'll do me. Thank you very much. I couldn't believe it because it was that vague. I thought, and I was always a bit.
Yeah, but that's the vagueness. The vagueness thing is, you've got to remember, and it's funny because going back to talking about people having retired earlier on, I was arguing with somebody the other day, and I can't remember specifically what it was, but they basically said, find me the piece of legislation that says that you can do something, and I'm like, no, it has to say you can't do something. If it doesn't need to say you can. If it doesn't say you can't, then you can do it. That's the way it works.
The exact same thing, actually, going up and seeing Neil at Garland's. I know you two went over to Catton Park recently, but
where were you? Where were you?
Yeah, a couple of years ago, we went up to Garland's, and that's when I was starting to get into practical shooting. And I was well, specifically, my question was around the 1301, which was a Section 1 shotgun, and I had my RFD. No, not RFD. My FEO here, and somebody else. I can't remember who he was, but he was somebody that knew his shit and had come over and a trainee or whatever. But I was talking to them, and I said, right, on my license it says something like for use on approved on NRA, UK PSA, yada 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 yada, approved ranges for use on these approved ranges. So I said to him, what exactly does that mean? Does that mean that the NRA or the UK PSA or whatever have to come to every single place I want to shoot and deem that range safe? And what they threw back at me is said, no, what it's saying is somebody of sufficient experience, somebody who's sufficient enough and able enough to set out a course of fire and deem it safe. So I said, okay, well, I've been shooting for a little while now. I sort of know what I'm doing when it comes to practical. Am I of sufficient experience? Would I be deemed to be sufficient enough to call that a range as safe? And they said, we don't know, but that would be for you to prove in front of a judge. So I'm like, well, thank you very much. That's my FEO. I'm asking him to say, yes, I can take the gun up to Garland's and shoot it, or no, I can't. And he's sort of throwing it back at me going, well, it's your call. I was like, well,
because he hasn't got the answer. But well, do you know what? I asked this to
give me an answer. He would say no. He said, if you want me to give you a categorical answer, I'm going to say no to be
safe. Of course
he
will, because he doesn't want to take responsibility for it. He doesn't want you to go to court or whatever. Or if you, even if he knows you can do it, if you screw up, he doesn't need saying, yeah, such and such said I could do it. That's what they always do. That's what they
but it doesn't help us. As Neil said, as an RFD, you're building a business, an RFD, there's a reputation with YouTube and all that, and not being able to do certain things that other RFDs are perfectly aware that they can do, that's going to put you at a disadvantage. And luckily, in your situation, you've asked the question and they've given you a very good answer. But in my situation, I just feel like, well, I was sort of better not asking, because now that I've asked the question,
they're going to be keeping an eye on you.
There's keeping the eye on you, but also, if it did ever get to the point where, I go and shoot somewhere where I'm not supposed to, and then I get in front of a court and they go, well, you asked your FEO about this, you sort of knew, you were aware of it, and all I'm trying to do is I'm trying to follow the law, I'm trying to keep within the conditions, and it's sort of like you ask for a bit of help and they just throw it back at you.
Well, I think the lesson to learn there is that it's pointless ever asking your FEO anything. Most FEOs aren't legally trained, most of them are ex-police officers, and it's not a particularly well-paid job, and often they're not particularly clued up about the law, and to be honest, they're not necessarily particularly intelligent, if I'm honest. So you're much better off contacting an organisation like BASC, who've got a reputation, they have proper cover, they have people who know their shit.
Yeah.
When I had my problems with my T43 being conditioned for shooting on land, I actually spoke to the guy who co-wrote the guidance with the Home Office. He knows perfectly well what he's talking about. And at that point, even if he's wrong, even if he's screwed up, I have the defence.
Yep.
Just like with the FEO not wanting to commit himself, I don't have to commit myself, because I can say, I did this with the strength of advice I got from a very well known shooting organisation, that it was okay. And if you're saying I'm wrong, I'm really sorry. But chances are no, they can't really do you. I mean, they give us a slight slap on the wrist and say, please don't do it again. But, you know, it's not unreasonable. If you've been told by a shooting organisation that it's okay, then you go ahead and do it.
Well, before I got my my RFD, when I first started,
right back.
Okay. I'll carry on, Alan. Before I got my RFD and I was starting to go to Garland's, I asked my FEO, said, because the guy at the gun shop was like, at the time, he was like, well, you shouldn't really be shooting there. You know, you need an open ticket for whatever caliber. So I asked that question, and she blatantly said, are you paying to shoot there? I was like, yeah. She says, there's a cost involved. You have to pay to shoot there. I was like, yeah. She says, you're covered. You're completely covered.
Okay.
As long as you're paying to shoot there, you're covered. And I specifically said, am I all right to... So I'm all right to take my 308 there. I'm all right to take my shotgun, shoot slug. She says, yeah, you're fine. You're covered. As long as you're paying a fee, it's it's the organiser's responsibility to have insurances in place.
That
was it. I was like, and I blatantly said, so I can basically shoot anywhere as long as I'm paying whoever's running the range to shoot. I'm all right to shoot.
And that's it. I think that sort of answer. That's it. It's always about. And this is, I guess, a greater society comment as well. It's always about trying to find somebody else that you can hold responsible. You know, and it's always arse covering.
Yeah.
You know, and it's, you know, unfortunately, you never actually get to a right answer because everybody is just worried about covering their arses. You don't get, and that's not progressive. Everybody just like, well, as long as I've got somebody else I can blame if it's a ban.
No, I say the lady that does the FEO up here, she was bang on. And you know, when I handed my my RFD, she was like, "You're fine. You can shoot any caliber and any land that you deem fit," which is daft because I mean, I couldn't take my 308 out to my permission, shoot some steel, but if I've got one on loan, I can take that one, but I can't take my own because I'm not covered.
No, Neil, surely you can take all of your guns.
Well, I don't know because
surely if you're an RFD, you don't just borrow guns. You buy guns and sell them in the trade, and you need to sell them.
No, I can't. No. Mine's slightly different. My RFD is because I got my RFD not through YouTube or anything. It's because I write for the magazine, like Shooting Sports and Gunmark. It was them who basically said, you know, in a nutshell.
Yeah.
If you want to do more reviews, you need to.
That's your good reason. That doesn't mean to say that that's what your license says. Your license just says you're an RFD. You're not a special kind of RFD. You're just an RFD.
Well, no, it does say for testing. What is it? For testing and reviewing purposes only.
I know this is sort of going down the grey area, but what if you were selling your own guns?
Sorry, say again, Callum.
What if you wanted to test one of your own guns for a video? What if you were writing a piece on your own gun? Then doesn't that come under your RFD? Because you're using it for that purpose. You know, you can go and borrow a friend's gun that has the exact same license as you, and borrow their gun as you are at the moment. But you can't borrow your own.
I suppose it does, but the way it come across, I think what it boils down to is hunting more than anything. I can hunt with my 2.2 rimfire, but I can't if I've got a 2.2 rimfire on my RFD or any gun on my RFD. I cannot hunt with that rifle.
Sure.
I can only zero and test it.
Yeah,
whereas my editor, he's got a special thing on his license where obviously he's testing deer stalking rifles, hunting rifles and stuff.
What if you're testing a deer stalking rifle and you need to go up to Grimsby and see Garment Shooters UK and test it, see how well it shoots holes through road it?
Again, it's. Let me read it. It's quite interesting. I'll just read. Bear with me. It's in my bag underneath.
This is it. This is what I getting back onto the Section 1 shotguns. There's so much ambiguity here that it puts us at risk. We could unknowingly be in violation of God knows how many firearms laws, because it is very complex, and even for people that know what they're doing and have been in the sport for a while, it's still complex. And we are questioned all the time. Recently, over the long barrel pistols, well, it was a while ago, ago that the video happened, but somebody came over from America, and there was a bit of jip over the fact that he was handling a long barrel pistol, and then it got into the whole bloody.
Yeah, but that's changed now, hasn't it?
Well, again, there's rumours, and no one knows. Like, seriously, I speak, obviously, like yourselves, I speak to a lot of people that are very, very clued up in the firearms law, and they know what they're talking about. And you ask them certain questions, and they're like, oh. But again, going back to the RF.
If it's an FEO, they don't know what they're talking about. There's never a point asking them. Okay, what it comes down to is, in criminal law, there's an important test, no matter what the crime is. The test is public interest. Okay, so if I've got a Section 1 shotgun and I let let's say my ex-girlfriend shoot it in a video, right? Yeah. Or another ex-girlfriend shoot a long-barreled revolver, Tom's long-barreled revolver in a video, or on Instagram or whatever. Is it in the public interest to prosecute me or Tom for letting her have a go on a Home Office approved range under our supervision, when they know fully well that the only reason that it's technically unlawful is because of what is essentially a typo? Not even a typo, but the law was written at a time when these things didn't exist. Because at the time, there was no such thing as a Section 1 shotgun, and there was no such thing as a long-barreled revolver or a long-barreled pistol, because you could have real pistols and revolvers. Yeah. So therefore, it wasn't a thing. And they would just be like, yeah, well, it's not fair to prosecute. Who are we benefiting from this? That's what would happen.
But that's not a lot of reassurance, because
no, of course.
But if you're wrong, you're going to end up, at worst, you're going to lose your license. Like, well, sorry, at best case, you're going to lose your license. Mm-hmm. You know, if it ends up going, not going your way, and you could see jail time. And you're saying, the FEOs don't know anything. I'm sure there are some very knowledgeable FEOs out there, but they should. It's not a question of they don't. It's the question of they should. With the job that they have, they are, as shooters and all of the license holders out there, it's everybody's first point of contact. If you have a question, if you have a concern, if you have any sort of query around your license, you are told to talk to your FEO. And that's what I did. And I think it is wrong that even the FEOs, and it might not be because, as I think it was it was definitely either you or Neil that said it, but the FEOs are probably themselves scared of giving a right answer.
Of course they are. Of course they are.
They've got it even slightly wrong. And I think that's what needs to change. And actually, if an FEO gets it wrong, they shouldn't fucking lose their job. It's a complicated, it's a complicated law, but set of laws. But as shooters, what FEOs should be able to do is say, look, this is what I'm telling you. If it's wrong, then we can sort it out, but it's not going to be your problem. That's what I think FEOs should be there for.
Well, the thing is, right, there's a couple of problems here. The main one is that, you're told by your firearms department, just talk to your FEO, just ask him, because they think you're just going to ask him simple questions about, should I use ball ammunition to shoot rabbits? Should I do whatever, right? When it comes down to the real hard truth, it doesn't matter what you say to your FEO unless it's in writing or it's an email or it's an answer phone message. Anything you say to him verbally over the phone or in person is completely inadmissible in a court of law. It's irrelevant. If he says to you, yeah, Callum, you can definitely do this, and you go and do it, and then you get prosecuted for it, and you say, oh, hang on, my FEO said it was perfectly acceptable to do this, and he'll just go, can you prove he said that you did? Yeah. No, it's irrelevant. It's irrelevant. And we've got to
that's why
most FEO. Sorry.
That's why, yes, I completely get that. I completely understand that. They can't give you you can't accept somebody's word anymore as their word. You have to get it in email. But even in email, they won't do it. Even if email, you put them a question, they won't come back.
Of course they won't. Of course they won't, because then they can be held accountable under a court of law.
I think that's what needs. They are there to be offering a service to us. At the end of the day, that's what we pay for.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. But you've got to remember, most FEOs are retired police officers. Okay, and their things will change over time, because, as far as I'm aware, you pretty much have to have a. Well, I don't know if it has got to that yet, but they're bordering on the point of making people have to have a degree now to be a police officer. You've got to be very highly trained and very highly qualified to do that. Most FEOs are around now are like guys, and not even that old, because policemen retire so fucking early. It's ridiculous, like in their 50s. But they do on massive pensions too. And then they become FEOs. But they came up at a time when they were just Mr. Plod, joined the police force when he was like 18, did some basic training and became a policeman. He wasn't necessarily a good policeman, not necessarily some high-ranking policeman, just a Mr. Plod. And then he retired, and then he thought, I'm just going to get myself a nice, easy job. I'll take that FEO job because it's just driving about a bit. You know, they don't necessarily know much about anything, really. You know, they might be private gun holders like you or I, and they like to shoot. And they've got the best of intentions, you know. And as I said, if Callum goes up to them and says, "Oh, you know, should I use ball ammunition against bloody rabbits, or should I use my rimfire to shoot a fox?" He's going to say no, even though, say with the fox thing, you can under the law. But he's not going to tell you that because he just doesn't want you to do anything stupid and fuck up. He wants to make sure that you do things properly. So it's like a sort of old grandpa holding your hand. It's not like some, do you know what I mean? Like some official thing that you need to rely on. I mean, if you want something to rely on, you need to get proper legal advice, and you can get that through BASC. Yeah. You know, I just wouldn't bother my FEO.
Yeah, I've been a supporter of using BASC for a very long time, and I say it's an absolute must. If you're in the shooting community in the UK, you should be on BASC, because, and maybe I don't use them enough. Maybe that's, you know, what I should do is every time I have a question, go to BASC. But I still think, you know, it should be the FEO's job. Anyway, I need to disappear for a sec as well.
What are you not drinking? Seriously.
You can't drink beer without having to wee. I will probably have to wee again, but time goes out.
It's an age thing. It's an age thing.
Yeah.
Or is it a beer thing? A beer thing.
Well, beer just makes you wee continuously, to be honest.
Well, no, I say my FEO, she was absolutely bang on. You know what? She just come out of it. Boom. There's your answer. I was like, okay. And like I was on about just. I mean, I've just had a look at my RFD, and it does say, it's like a sentence. The firearm to which the certificate relates may also be used for zeroing on land deemed suitable over which the holder has permission to shoot. How vague is that? And I said to her, so I'm all right to use any caliber on any land that I deem fit, as long as it's safe, as long as I've got permission. She was like, yeah. That'll do me. My missus was sat there as well. And she just come out. She didn't have to think about it. She said, you're fine.
Well, with something like that, I mean, that's pretty cut and dry. Like I said, I mean, it's giving you the conditions. If it's just saying zeroing, then, yeah, that's zeroing. If it does say testing, though, that's more ambiguous. And in the context of you writing articles, you could do an article about a deer stalking rifle, you know, Neil's adventure, just that left-wing thing. Neil's adventure into shooting roe deer, and he's going to go and have an adventure shooting this new Remington 700 in 308, and he's going to shoot a deer. You know, it's completely under the remit of your good reason, and it's not contradicting those terms because you are testing and reviewing a rifle, but you're reviewing it to do what it's supposed to do.
I suppose the word testing becomes a little vague then, but
yeah, exactly.
At the end of the day, that'll do me. What she said to me, I was like, that's fine by me. That's
awesome in itself. That's pretty awesome. I mean, that's the one thing that puts me off buying, range toys. Really, is the fact that if I want a range toy, it's all very well. I can go down my club and I can shoot at a 50-meter range. But what if I want to shoot at 100 meters or 150 meters? What if I want to shoot just somewhere where I can have some peace, where I can do some proper recording? I've got the land to do it. So why can't I just take out a Lee Enfield and do some, smash some steel in private on some land? I mean, why not?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I know what you're saying. And that's why I'm pretty lucky with that one,
Yeah, absolutely. But it shows how old-fashioned they are in terms of what they consider good reason, that you've got to show them a printed magazine. I mean, that's like living in the 1980s.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's like, who buys magazines anymore?
Quite a lot.
Yeah, I know that Blaze Publishing and stuff, they're still going, but I'm amazed that they are. I mean, I can only think that it's like the slightly older generation and all of that, but they must know that they're dying as a medium. Everything's going online now. Nobody buys printed media anymore, do they?
Can you?
I must admit, I do like a proper magazine in my hand. I can't read one of these things where you sort of move the screen. Do you know what I mean? Where you,
yeah, I mean, market, but it's like the newspapers. You know, it's like the newspapers. They're all there's always people who will still buy them, but really,
Neil, can you say the figures of how many people are reading Shooting Sports a month?
I couldn't say. I could get hold of them, but I couldn't say.
I mean, you know, it would be interesting to find out, because obviously, we touched on this briefly last time about the whole PewDiePie demonetization of adverts, all that sort of stuff, and he's got a very, backing up what Sam's saying, that the traditional papers and magazines, they are in decline as a whole. Maybe not shooting. I don't know the figures in shooting, but as a whole, as a media, that's falling. Whereas YouTube and video and social media as an advertising platform, as a blogging, as a writing platform, is becoming the go-to. So it would just be interesting. Obviously, you had to get a letter from the editor, but actually, as a well-established YouTube channel, which Sam, yourself, and I have, surely, depending on what the figures are, that's why it'd be really interesting to see the viewership of Shooting Sports magazine, because then if it's similar, because I think that English Shooting gets anywhere between like 100 to 120,000 views a month.
Yeah.
It would be interesting to see how that compared to a magazine, because then I could actually go to an RFD and say, look, actually I get the same or roundabout the same viewership as a magazine, yet you deem the magazine far more justification than a YouTube channel. And it would just be interesting to see if the police and the FEOs and firearms department are actually keeping up to date with what is good reason and what people are looking at.
I think my good reason was, because obviously I get paid for the articles, is basically it's a source of income. I suppose you could say YouTube is, but I'm kind of like on the payroll, from was Aceville Publications, so I'm kind of like on their payroll, so to speak. Whenever
you're self-employed, surely you're doing your own tax and stuff. You're not on PAYE, are you?
Yeah, I know. But
he is now. He's got to now.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on. So I mean, but as Callum says, it is the same. It is the same thing. It's a generational thing. It's the old plod again, isn't it? It is 50s or 60s, usually. Although it sounds to you like you've got a possibly younger person as your FEO, so it might be more understanding for you. I don't know. No, it's just.
But generally speaking, certainly as the younger generation come through the police force, they become FEOs as they retire. So it'll probably be when I'm really old, to be honest. But as that happens, there will be more understanding, because they'll just be like, well, yeah, I mean, who the fuck reads magazines anymore, newspapers?
Well, here we go. Interesting. I've just been commented. I won't say their name just in case they want to remain shy. But a friend has just messaged me saying that Shooting Times is 20,000, has a circulation of 20,000 a month, and the Basque magazine, which is obviously through the subscription, so people that have paid maybe for not necessarily the magazine, is 130,000 circulation. So actually, I can say with my channel that I'm 5 times that of Shooting Times, and I'm around that of Basques, one of the biggest shooting organisations in the country in terms of viewership of publications each month.
Yeah,
and these places only put out they put out 1 magazine a month. We're doing, well, I do a minimum of 4 or 5 videos a month. So actually, I'm producing more content. I've got, there's more stuff out there, and yet I'm getting the same numbers. So that would be incredibly useful to go to an FEO or go to firearms department and say, actually, I've got 5 times the viewership of a very popular magazine in the UK. Why aren't you considering YouTube? Now, I'm not saying they wouldn't, but from what I felt, it feels that Neil had to wait until we had that letter from Shooting Sports. So it just would, to me, that's justification enough. I reach as many people as these magazines. There is an income. People rely on your ability to review their kit to be able to actually, you know, make the video. So you can say, actually, if I have an RFD, I'm going to appeal to more people. The channel's going to pick up. There's going to be more revenue. It's going to become a more serious revenue stream. You know,
I think with like the shooting, like Gunmart and shooting sports are sort of under the same umbrella. When it really opened my eyes when I went to IWA back in February, because their publishing team just had meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting with gun manufacturers, paying for adverts. Do you know what I mean? It was just, I can't imagine how much, you know, the sort of revenue they get from big players. Do you know what I mean? And I think that keeps magazines more than afloat. Do you know what I mean? Rather than the actual people.
Well, yeah, it's a funny one, and I guess this is to do with. I mean, obviously, people who buy magazines, unlike with YouTube, are paying money to buy the magazine directly.
Yeah.
And I guess advertisers consider the quality of the reach is much higher, because obviously, you know, if well, let's be honest, if like every 10th, 15th video I get some advert for some betting shop, which is what it's all I'm getting at the moment. It's like, you know, a lot of us are. How many people is that really reaching? I mean, if people are watching that video, how many of those people are actually going to read that advert and go, oh yeah, that's interesting? As where if you're a gun magazine and you're writing articles about guns and they've got this targeted advertising from big manufacturers about guns they might be interested in, I guess the chances of each individual reader actually spending money with them is higher. So therefore, that's why, I mean, that's why when you know, as you said, Callum, this magazine's getting like all this, not very many views really, but yet they can still afford big offices and they can afford to employ these people because of the money.
So there we go. Like I think the conclusion I can take from that is, for what we're doing and the service we're providing the trade in terms of guns being featured on the channel, we have similar amount of views. We have the same demographic. We must do the same people that watch us must buy the magazines, and yet, as Neil's saying, the magazines they don't have enough time between people giving them money. You know, all they're doing is you know, meeting after meeting after meeting of big companies giving them money to plug their adverts, where we're doing it for free. You know, so I think whoever gives us stuff to review is getting, you know, by the sounds of it, a very good deal.
They are. It's new media too, and this is the thing that's different, is because we, to a certain extent, sell ourselves. You know, you look at certain YouTube channels which are directly associated with magazines, and you listen to the way they speak. They're like reading an article, and it's so easy.
Oh yeah, don't get me wrong. I don't want to go
there at all.
You know, I like the fact that, you know, a lot of my subscribers and people that watch my videos, they say, you know, that it's real opinion. I'm not being paid to say something good, and I never want that. I do not want to get inflated. However, at the end of the day, just a product being on a video, whether you're saying good things or bad things, it's still publicity. No such thing as bad publicity. I'm sure Mike Yardley can attest to that. But
yes,
you know, it's a case, maybe not changing the format of, look, here's a lovely product, go on and buy it. I never want to do that, and I'll never agree to do that. But instead, you know, there's companies that I will happily plug their stuff all day long because I genuinely like their stuff. You know, and I think maybe in terms of the RFDs, and it may be the way that YouTube is viewed within the shooting world, within the trade, you know, it's not amateur. You know, it's not the audience that we all have and the engagement that we have, which I don't think the magazines necessarily have. How many people leave comments on magazines? How many people write into email magazines and stuff? It's probably nothing compared to the messages and interaction that we have with the people. That's why I love doing the channel, because
I find now that a lot of the magazines have their own YouTube channels anyway.
Yeah,
and I know Gunmart has, you know, Gunmart TV.
But then we all have more subscribers individually. We all have more subscribers than Gunmart on their YouTube channel.
And their videos are shit.
Bro, I didn't say
that. Hey, that's my boss.
It's like, oh fuck. That's what it feels like. Oh fuck. but
my team's ready.
Shit. Guns, and that's it. No personality. They don't interact with comments. They're not very good. And that's why.
But that's it. That's the way things are changing. You know, we were talking about it today at work. Twitter. The amount of companies, well, every company now, if you have a company, you need to have a Twitter account, because somebody will tweet if they have a complaint, if they're disgruntled, if you've not treated them right, they will tweet, and that single tweet can be seen by millions of people in a matter of minutes. And it's a question of consumers now want engagement. They don't just want to be shown. They want to talk to somebody. They want to feel like, you know, this isn't just somebody plugging stuff, whether or not that's what's going on or not, whether people are actually aware that people are just being paid to show them it. But it's more personal. They know that person. They know what they like. They know what they dislike. And if they can identify with that person, and that person saying, I like this product, that's got to be more powerful than just a 2-page spread in a magazine. But yet, you know, obviously, certainly makeup companies have seen the light with YouTube, and they pay the likes of Zoella tens of thousands of pounds to just even show something in a video, you know. But yet the firearms community seem to be, you know, lagging behind a bit. And I have to say, you know, I obviously do a lot of reviews and I work with a lot of different companies, the majority of which are practical shooting, you know, a modern sport filled with a lot of new shooters that seem to get the YouTube thing. And I think, you know, maybe that's why the channel fits in so well with those, you know, those types of people. And I engage with those types of people so well, is because they get it. It's modern, it's progressive, it's changed. It's not like it used to be.
I'm pretty much
not saying that it was bad, but
I'm pretty much the same with you, Callum. But obviously, I do it, you know, slightly more varied. You know, I touch on a lot of air guns as well. You know, it's just something I do. But I've found like this. I won't name the channel, but there's a big air gun channel in the UK, and it's seriously just like watching an advert.
Yeah.
But it's called a review, and you just watch it, and it's like, this isn't a review, it's an advert. I've heard nothing bad about this gun. Do you know what I mean? And then I love it. I absolutely love it if I get a rifle or whatever, and there's something absolutely crap about it. I get excited about that because I'm like, yes, I found something, and I can really sort of mention it and put it out there. You know? And I absolutely thrive on that. I've yet to find something that's just perfect in every way. You know, if I can't find anything, I'll just basically slag it off because it's not available in left hand or something.
Yeah.
But do you know what I mean? And like some of these YouTube channels, I just think it's just an advert, and you can tell they're in the pockets of the companies, you know, because they're getting sent this kit. You know, I mean, I used to get sent loads of stuff from a big company in Birmingham. But I started to sort of say, well, the internals are a little bit chocolate-like, but hey-ho. All of a sudden, I don't get sent anything, you know. I used to get tagged by them on Facebook about this new product. Don't get tagged by them. So now, whenever one of those new products comes out, I can't wait to get hold of it because I'm going to tear into shreds. Do you know what I mean? So,
well, there's a cost-benefit analysis there, and then you're dealing a lot of the time with advertising agencies who are used to dealing with magazines and stuff, where they just get their arse kissed, and they don't realise that the media has now gone more into the hands of the individual. As you say, they can comment, they can say what they like, and there's always a balance to be struck, because, of course, if you are just constantly saying how wonderful everything is, then you're not going to get the viewership. So you kind of think, well, okay, somebody's got 1,000 views for a video, or say, okay, it's 10,000 views for a video, and it's 100% saying it's amazing. And then you've got someone else who's got 100,000 views for the same video, but they are critical about it, but they'll say good things about it and bad things about it.
Yeah.
How many sales is the person who's got 100,000 views, who's saying good and bad things, compared to the person saying nothing but good things who's got 10,000 views?
Yeah.
And like, if they do the maths, they'll realise that, well, it's better to actually give people some, you know, some artistic, or for want of another word, allowance. And this is the same thing with the whole of YouTube. And this is the same thing with people expressing political views and so on, where you've got unrelated adverts which are just popping up in the corner and so on. If you don't allow people the freedom to express themselves, then nobody's going to be passionate about what they're doing. Nobody's going to really kind of identify with them, and your advertising's worth nothing. Nobody wants to listen to just a robot just saying how great something is,
I know, yeah.
or just making shit makeup videos, or whatever it is that they say YouTube want people to do now. That's not going to work.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's the whole thing about social media. You know, it's not real because you can still hide behind things. You can still become something you're not. But that's why people like it, because it's as real as it can get. You see real people doing real things. You get real opinions, real reactions. It's not filmed. It's not rehearsed. It's not staged. Yeah, okay. We all have our little scripts, our little cue cards when we do our videos. But that's just to remember exactly, you know, to stay on topic and get that video done on that topic. It's not because you've sat there and formulated a script saying something that you don't genuinely believe. It's just to remind you. It's a cue to prompt you of what you actually believe, and that's what I do with a product. And you know, and I've said before, I've made the joke that I very, very rarely make a bad review, because a lot of the stuff that I review I bought with my own money. So if I bought it with my own money, you know, I've put the research into it, I've tried it out, and that's what I love. And I said that recently about the caddies that I gave away, is that it's very hard for me to make a video about something I don't like, because I'm excited about sharing it, and that's what I get the thrill out of. So when somebody sends me stuff that I think I'm going to enjoy playing with, of course that's nice. But you know, you almost, I think overall in terms of YouTube and certainly within the shooting world, we're sort of just seen as guys in our bedrooms or garages that just make videos and people watch them. They don't necessarily see the power that you have with your audience, and the audience that you have and the viewership that you have. But that's all built on trust. That's all built on being real. And I think, as you said, the ones that just make their videos into adverts, they're not going to be around for that for a long period of time, because that's not what people really want to watch. I don't think. Might be completely wrong. Maybe people like living in a false reality, but they want to know real opinion. They don't want to be told to buy something. They want to,
especially if they're going to spend their hard-earned dollars on it.
Exactly. You know, they want a real opinion, and I think, again, for these companies, it's you've got to have balance. And sometimes, you know, every single time I buy a product, I will watch as many bad reviews. Well, you know, I will try and watch the bad reviews, and there are always bad reviews about that product, but it gives you balance, because as you've said, Neil, no product is perfect, and what somebody may not like, somebody may absolutely love. And that's why I'm not scared to give a bad review, because someone might look at that and go, well, I actually really like the fact it does that, so I'm going to buy it. And you know, and I think Sam, you were saying about, well, obviously, Neil, you've experienced it. A company has, instead of listening to that feedback, they've just yanked it and tried to silence it. Well, they're not going to progress as a brand, and they're not going to better their products by ignoring it. But that's just your opinion, and I think having that opinion out there is still valuable to that company, whether it be good or bad.
Yeah, I mean, I love it when I read some comments, you know, where someone's watched a review or whatever, and they're like, oh, cheers, I watched this and went out and bought it and I'm well happy with it. I'm like, that'll do me, that's a win, you know. And it's also good, the opposite as well, you know, when you've sort of said, oh, well, it's all right, but don't waste your money. Do you know what I mean? Save up a bit extra and get this or whatnot. You know, you feel like you're saving people money at the end of the day, or getting them to spend it wisely.
You're giving them a balanced view, aren't you? I mean, it's
yeah, that's it.
I get this with my Winchester SXP, and I get a lot of people like going, oh, you know, I'm going to go out and buy this gun because you've said how great it is. I'm like, no, I haven't said how great it is. It's actually quite a shit gun. But for me, it's amazing because it fits me. But it's not a great gun. I mean, Christ, you know, you have to be really careful what cartridges you feed. I was praying today those cheap cartridges I got for £2 a box would actually cycle, because it just doesn't cycle so many things.
But that's useful.
Yeah, exactly.
Information for people to know.
But if you are a guy who's got a freakishly large head, I like to think it's a large brain, a large head and then a huge neck to be able to support it, then you need a gun with a good canted stock and a nice raised rib. And you know, for me, it works. It might not work for you. And these same people, I've said, look, if you're buying a pump gun, purely based on the quality, then you want a Benelli Supernova. I mean, there is no argument to be had. That is the gun to buy. But for me, I really like it. And if you're like me and you've got the same situation, then buy it. And that has a knock-on effect as well with products generally, because, you know, it's like when I got the hearing protection from Custom Fit Guards. I mean, I contacted them. I really liked their product. I wanted their product. So you've got an element of subscribers who identify with you, and they want to have the things that you like. Do you see what I mean? So it's not a question of me saying, "Oh, this is better than everything else in the world." This is just my personal preference.
Yeah.
And then they will get sales because of that too. Yep. So they need to be able to be flexible and to understand that's how it works. There's nothing worse than, like as Neil said, you know, certain YouTube channels that remain nameless, which are related to magazines, where, you know, it's just so cheesy. I mean, this one guy, he's out shooting squirrels and stuff all the time, and he's so fake.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to see that. They don't.
Yeah.
I think what, you know, if I was going to start, if I was to start generating revenue from the products that are on the channel, my absolute #1 condition is that, you know, you're paying for it to feature on the channel. Nothing more, nothing less. What I say about it is up to me. You have no control over that. You know, as long as you have that understanding, then I am happy for you to pay for it to appear in a video on the channel. You know, but I do have really good relationship with consumers, with manufacturers and shops and stuff like that, where I say to them, you know, look, I want you to get the best video. I don't want to misrepresent your product. I don't want to get something wrong. So I say to them, you know, I'm doing this because I enjoy it. You're not paying me. So I will ping you over the video to have a look and have a check. Now, if they came back to me and said, you said this in the product, you didn't like this, I want you to remove that. That's not why I'm doing it. I'm doing it because I want the facts to be right, and I want to represent them as in the best light as possible. I want to represent them as accurately as possible. But as long as I could have the control over, I can still say my own opinions on your product, then yeah, give me as much money as you want. You know, I'm only human at the end of the day. I would love to turn it into a business. I would love to turn it into a, you know, full-fledged revenue stream for myself. But I don't want to lose the genuine part of it. You know, well, that's for me what's special.
Honesty, yeah.
Well, that was the thing though, really, with the general YouTube advertising, which worked so well, because you can talk about anything.
Yeah.
Whatever you wanted to, you've got complete freedom. And
so
that's what they're killing.
Pigeons.
Yeah, well, this is what they're killing now. You know, even my video about, you know, this sort of living in the present moment, the spirituality of hunting. Even that, like, oh, that's not suitable for advertisers. And I'm like, what the fuck? That's really hippie shit, you know? I mean, people should be able to want to see that. But the minute you start doing that and you start damaging creativity, you start damaging personality, I mean, what the fuck are you left with? You're left with either people who are just shills for companies, who are just going to say everything's great, that they go, and nobody's going to want to watch that. Or, and those people will, because they won't get an audience anyway, so they need to, like, just have direct advertising. Or you'll just get people just doing, like, yeah, makeup videos. I mean, have you seen the trending list on YouTube, like, the last several months? I mean, it's lame. It's like robotic, meaningless drivel. It really is. And I hate to say it, at one time, to a certain extent, I would have included PewDiePie in that. Because even though PewDiePie is very talented at what he does, it is just nonsense, really. But now, because he's seen what's happening, he's really, you know, he's now red-pilled 50 million young people. You know, it had the opposite effect that they were trying to get. You know, but it is worrying. You know, what's going on now? Where do you go? Do we become shills? Do we just try and, I don't know, make just boring videos that will get adverts? I mean, it's
Yeah, but that's the shame of it, and again, that's losing the real heart of YouTube. Is that, you know, when I make a video, through the mistakes that I've made on the channel, and through the videos that in hindsight I probably shouldn't have made, you know, it's through that you make mistakes, and that, you know, you get, you know, when you voice something that's wrong and you get a load of people telling you wrong, that's for you to then go, okay, all right, I'll take that on board, I'll learn from that. And what you're getting instead is people just saying things because they know it fits within a certain narrative. They know that it fits with, you know, it's going to be liked just because they have that point of view. And then, you know, you get, you know, as you said before, you get an echo chamber, and people don't actually see the real issues. They just, everyone's saying what everyone else wants to hear. And anybody, you know, unfortunately, as gun owners, we generally have an unpopular opinion among most, and we feel like we can't fully voice that, no matter how legitimate that opinion is. We always, you know, I definitely, compared to when I started the channel, I definitely knew a hell of a lot more than in what I'm saying. And, you know, there's a lot of stuff that's going on at the moment, and has gone on over the last year, that I would like to comment on, and my comments would probably be a lot more educated than maybe 2-3 years ago. But I just don't want to go there, because if I do, you know, just get carried away and say the wrong thing, whether it's, you know, in the moment or not, there's huge repercussions. And, you know, and that's sad. Like, you know, maybe I do have some views that, you know, the whole world wants to hear, and yourself and Neil and many other people, but because they feel that maybe they're going to get in trouble, they're going to get their videos demonetized, they're going to get their videos taken down, and it's not worth the hassle, it's muting that side of the argument and those opinions, which only lets one side of the argument be voiced, which I think inherently is wrong.
Well, we're seeing that across society, aren't we? I mean, that's the postmodernism that we're seeing now, where everybody wants to shut down any speech which is, you know, which they just dislike, basically. And it's worrying because YouTube is almost like a microcosm of just the whole world in terms of what's happening. You know, we developed as a civilization when we allow people to have the freedom to express themselves and have the freedom to be wrong and to get things wrong and to be corrected and to learn from that. And the only repercussions were really maybe being laughed at and just, you know, just looking a bit of an arse, and that was it. And now everybody's trapped in this sort of bubble of censorship and fear of what might happen if they say what they want to say. And I hate to say it, it's even amongst, you know, people in the shooting community should understand this, because they're the ones who are really sort of fighting an unpopular opinion a lot of the time. But even they're the same. You know, I did that video about the far left in the media. I mean, I don't know if you looked at it at all.
Yeah.
And, you know, I had a lot of people, you know, a few people really kicking off about that. And I'm just like, whoa, you know, you can disagree with me, it's fine. That's what I stand for.
But I think that's how you get extremists. You get extremists when nobody's challenging your opinion. Because, you know, you've got to be an extremist, you have to have that mentality that there's not a shred of doubt that you're wrong. You know, that you are absolutely right, and that everybody around you has your back, and that you're going to change the world in whatever way you want to change it. You know, on both sides you get extremists, but, you know, and unfortunately for things like shooting and guns, we're already seen as like the extremists. So to voice it, and, you know, I mute what I say on my personal Facebook channel because I know it's just going to cause issues, when actually sometimes all I want to do is post a picture of me going shooting, which there's nothing wrong with. I should be able to share that without backlash.
Yeah, I can't help myself. You know, I really can't help myself. As a young boy, okay, we would sit around the dinner table and we would argue every Sunday about topics of the day and so on and so forth. And if there was too many of us who were on one side of the argument compared to the other, then we would have to fight for the opposite side of the argument that we disagreed with, to try and understand the arguments of that side. My mother was a solicitor, so that's sort of kind of where it came from, you know. And we were encouraged to explore the arguments and to have an argument or, you know, a debate without, you know, without it getting personal or nasty or blaming anyone, and just saying, oh, I think you're wrong, and if you are wrong, well, So what? Let's educate you. Change your mind.
I had a very similar lesson. So I, back in my school days, I was fortunate enough to be able to apply to Cambridge. I didn't get in because I wasn't smart enough. But during the sort of Cambridge, Oxford's interview process, they brought in somebody from Oxford, and he was studying like an English degree. And he said, it doesn't matter what subject. Obviously, everyone, well, I think a lot of my subscribers know I'm an engineer, so I'm not arty or literate or stuff like that. But he said, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what subject you're doing. When you go into the professional world, it's all about getting your opinion across. Whether it's the way to build a bridge, whether it's the way to design a circuit, whether it's the poem that you're writing or the argument that you're presenting in debate. And he said what they teach them at Oxford and Cambridge is to understand the other side of the argument, to take yourself out of your own beliefs and fully immerse yourself in what other people believe, because once you understand where somebody else is coming from, it's then far easier to argue against it and counter their opinions and arguments. And that's something that I've always kept, it's always stuck with me. So when I'm having an argument with someone, I do always take a step back. And even with the likes of Yardley, I will take a step back and go, okay, let's see where they're coming from. Where can I, why are they so passionate? Why are they so passionately against my opinion? And then you think, okay, it's this, and that. And I'm not scared to change my opinion. I'm not scared to put my hands up and say that, I messed up or I got something wrong, because that's how you progress. And at the moment in society, I think as a whole, we're not progressing because we're slowly losing freedom of speech. And again, that's why I feel so passionate against Mike Yardley, because that's not something he exercises.
And the ironic thing, the ironic thing in that is that they call that progressivism.
Yeah.
They do. They do.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's nearly 9 o'clock. Have you got anything you want to add, Neil?
I was just going to ask you, Sam, what did you think of Captain Park, then?
I thought it was amazing. I thought it was a great day.
Don't rub it in.
No, it really was, and I was really, and I possibly would say this, but I was really amazed by how my 243 performed. I didn't expect to be able to just hold over so little, to reach out from 200 to 350 yards and to be whacking that gong. It was brilliant. And the thing is, Neil, I love gong shooting. Yeah. I just love it, and I'm not a big tactical sporting shooter. But when it comes to smacking steel at long range, I fucking love it, and I'll shoot it with anything. Iron sights on an Enfield, that's even better because it's so hard. So yeah, it was brilliant, and yeah.
Have a word with him, will you, about coming?
Yeah, Callum.
I will. I would. It's always the worst weekends. I can guarantee if there's a weekend in a month that I'm like I've got something on, I know I'm going to get a text from Neil going, do you want to come up to Captain Park this weekend? And every single time it's like, oh, Mate,
well, there's 2 left this year.
I was going to say a couple of weeks in it.
Yeah, I can't do that one because I'm away. I can do the September one, and then that's it. It's
okay.
Done until February.
I'm going to have to try and come up with that then.
September then. We can do that. We can do
Why don't all 3 of us do September?
We could do September, and we could do a live stream with my laptop on that hay bale while we blast the shit out of some steel. I don't know how easy that'll be to do. I'll have to use my phone or something. But we could do that. We'll try.
I'll message you both the dates, but honestly, Callum, you'll love it. It's like Garland's, but even better.
Yeah, no, I watched both of your videos. It just, to me again, going back to air rifles and where a lot of people start shooting, that's the fun of the air rifle, is that there's no, you can just walk out into your garden, put a tin can and shoot it. There's no, it's free, it's fun, it's not restrictive, you're just there to have a laugh. And that's what I loved about Garland's. It was safe and it was, it's regulated, but everyone had a bloody smile on their face. And I think sometimes in shooting we lose that. We start from just wanting to hit something, and it shouldn't be that it's an IPSC approved target or it's a NRA approved target, and just hit something. You've got a gun, doesn't matter what caliber, what action, whatever, and it doesn't matter what the target, as long as it's obviously
I'll tell you what,
rounds.
I couldn't hit shit. I couldn't with my rifle.
Yeah.
Honestly, I couldn't hit
No,
nothing.
no.
I ended up bagging it, and do you know what? I took it to the gunsmith after I got like 10 people watching me and spotting me. I was like, after about 40 shots, I was like, I'm putting it away. And after that, I took it to the gunsmith at Livens Gun Shop. He had a look at it. It was 4 foot to the left or to the right. It was shooting. It turns out the fancy mount that had got on the scope was, I think, more or less bending the scope. So it damaged the scope anyway. So anyway, cut long story short, he kept the rifle, put some new Vortex mounts on it, took it to the range at Garland's, zeroed it clover-leafed it 100 meters, but then he broke my scope, my nice shiny Vortex scope that had 2 outings. The zoom stuck, so it wrote the scope off. So
and what you learned from that,
Vortex for the warranty, by the way.
And what you learned from that, Neil, is being too fucking tactical.
Well, I did. At the end of the day, I did put a couple of rounds of tracer down, which was quite funny.
I didn't see that. I should have seen that. That would have been cool. That would have been cool.
Well, the first one I put hit the mark, and I was like, bloody hell, my rifle's okay. Next one sort of dropped about 6 foot short, didn't even spark up, and then I just seen a load of smoke in the corner, and I was like, I think I might go.
That could be, that could be bad.
But hey, so anyway, I'm just waiting for a new Vortex Viper. I think I've got. I'm just waiting for a new one.
Definitely do a video that everyone will know how much of a whore I am for Vortex, and I go on about their warranty all the time. I've never actually used it.
Oh well, I've used it on its second outing.
Yeah, I mean that is one thing I like about Americans, is because they're so good at the free market, aren't they? You know, whether you're buying guns, knives, mounts, all sorts of shit, it's always like lifetime warranty. Anything goes wrong, because they know how important that is. They know how that rolls. We don't seem to get that with European manufacturers, even though we do have some brilliant manufacturers, but they just don't stand by their products in the same way the Americans do.
Americans are the kings of service, and that is the starkest difference between going to a gun shop in the UK and going to the shop in a gun shop in America. In America, it doesn't matter if you can even hold a gun. They will try and sell you something, and they will try and help you to buy something. As soon as you walk in, you have 2 or 3 people around you going, "Can I help you?" And then 5 minutes later, if you haven't asked any questions, just want to check, "Are you okay?" The amount, going in even with your licenses in both hands into some shops, it's like, who are you? What do you want? Well, I'd like to buy something from you. Well, you've got to prove yourself first.
Yeah. Well, that's why I love Shooting Supplies in Bromsgrove, because they are like an American shop in that respect. They're fantastic. I know exactly what you're saying. My local gun shop is not like that at all.
I just won't visit them. I'll go into a place. If they give me shit service straight away, that's it. I'm not going to give them a second chance. The ones that do give me good service, then I'm going to use, and that's it. Going back to the reviews, a lot of the companies that I've, plugged.
I'll be right back. I really have.
Yeah, a lot of the companies that I've plugged their stuff before, I've used them as a customer, and I've loved the service, and I think that's what a lot of UK shooting companies don't get. They think, well, our product will sell itself. We don't need to look after the companies. But yeah, you should do a video, like go through the steps and processes, how long things took, the communication between you and Vortex, just to actually see documented.
Literally just took it. Basically, what happened is he took the rifle in, he sorted the problem out. He says, I'll go and zero it at Garland's, but Garland's shuts at 5 o'clock. So I was like, well, I can't make it. He says, well, I'll take it. And the guy at Livens, I'll take it, I'll zero it. So we done that, but then he broke the scope. So because I got the scope from Livens itself, he says, look, the good news is your rifle's bang on. The bad news is I broke your scope. Okay. Well, I was quite happy with that. I was like, thank God it ain't the rifle. Do you know what I mean? Because it's never shot well, and it turns out it's been this shitty mount that I've had on it. So anyway, it should be sort of, A-OK now once I get the scope. But anyway, because I got it from Livens itself, the he's taking care of it. So it's basically when he's got in, I'll just have a brand new scope on it. So hey ho.
Awesome. Yeah, sorry about that. I was hoping I could wrap things up and then go for a slash. I was like holding on, but just...
You should just wear a nappy like what I've got on.
Yeah, I was actually considering that. I was thinking, I really like these jeans, and I don't really want to just do that. Anyway, guys, it's 9 o'clock. We've done a couple of hours. I think we've said more or less what we need to say.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll get plenty of feedback. So, yeah, well, you guys, and we'll definitely do it again soon. I guess the next one is going to be on Neil's channel, which will be extraordinary in terms of if he gets it to work. Because as you guys at home don't realise how much of a pain in the arse to set these things up actually is. You just think we just do it. It is actually a bit of a fiddle. And so, yeah, I think Neil might, take it.
We get him there. It's fine. We manage.
We'll have to.
You guys seem to think that I know what I'm doing. I just click buttons and see what happens. And I guess Neil did that and ended up broadcasting himself picking his nose. So
that was it. Yeah.
Well, that's pretty good though. That's all right. That's getting there. That's
That was just YouTube Live. That was. It wasn't Hangout.
Yeah. The more we do it, and the more often we do it, the better we're going to get. So maybe that's an incentive for us to keep it more regular.
And everyone watching, subscribe to all 3 channels, of course.
Definitely. Well, everyone should already be subscribed.
Oh yeah, obviously.
There's no reason why not to.
To be honest, I think they are, except for the ones that hate us, and they're all subscribed to Neil. But apart from that, I think next time we need to get a special guest on. And unfortunately, Mr. Yardley couldn't frequent us with his presence this time. I did send him a sincere message, and it was sincere. It was, and I really wanted to talk to him about the differences we've got and about trying to move forward again for the future of shooting, because we're not a big group of people, and as I said, there are things he's done I think are good, and maybe if he just amended some of his views, we could really work together and really build something fantastic.
Yeah.
So who knows? Who knows? The future may be different. We will see, but at least we'll get Firearms UK on next time. I think we should definitely do that. And
that'd be good. Yeah. They gave us all a mention, which was quite nice.
Absolutely. He's a good guy, and he's not a big YouTuber, and it would be good just to get his feedback, because he does read up on a lot of the stuff he talks about, and he's very quite learned and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
It's great to have people like that in the community, and people that are willing to put themselves on the line and voice the opinions, and and fight for the sport. That's what I like to see.
Yeah, they'll love me for this. They'll love me for this.
I hate to say it. The first thing I change. But yeah, anyway, the logo I mean. Anyway, I'll see you guys soon.
Will do.
And for the audience at home, I hope you enjoyed it. We're out.
Yeah. See you later, guys.
See ya.